Okay, so you asked me who I am.
Who are you?
Connar O'Keefe. I'm a photographer. I'm Connar O'Keefe. I'm a photographer from Birmingham, and I'm 22.
Okay, so why do the film?
The reason for doing the film is because we really do want to go over to Ireland and find really where our family has come from. We've been over there sort of on a holiday type basis before, with family and that sort of thing, but it is essentially a road trip. And we're doing it by ourselves. We're going by ourselves, and we're experiencing Ireland as pure as it can be. No matter what happens, we're going to go to Ireland and do it together, I guess. What sort of Irish people are like?
Well,
Why it's important? Why you think Ireland is sort of special in that way that people want to be associated with it?
It's a very hospitable country, very friendly people. Politics mean a lot to some, but not to all. What else would you say? Good architecture and lousy roads.
Yeah.
this is the start of the journey. This is the first leg, getting across to Dublin, 250 miles. We get to Connar in Dublin, and we're there. And this is where our Irish adventure begins.
And we're sailing aboard shipwrecks to cut off the sails and let us drift away and let the ocean.
We're just outside of London now in Wales, so about a third of the way there. Probably got another 3 hours of riding to go, I think. So we should be at Holyhead for around noon time. It's freezing cold, but we'll get there eventually. A nice hot cup of tea. Just hopefully it gets a bit nicer. It's a bit horrible at the moment. This Welsh countryside is just fantastic. This is brilliant. So we've just made it to the ferry with about half an hour to spare.
You're keeping track, but there's no need to bother. You're on your back, counting clouds now to markers. What will it take to get there any sooner? My mind is swinging, I might just drop the anchor. But we've done the distance, we set the ship away. This is the adventure, say about it.
That 5-hour ferry trip felt like the longest 5 hours of our entire lives. But we've landed in Dublin and we've found our way through Phoenix Park and into Connar, into our B&B for the night. looking forward to Dublin tomorrow.
So what are we going to see today, Connar? We're going to go to the Guinness storehouse and meet up with the archivist, Lisa. She's going to show us around the Guinness factory and the Guinness storehouse. Awesome.
So today was our first real day in Dublin, and what a magnificent start sort of to the journey. We got to go to the Guinness factory where we met Lisa McCarthy, who is the archivist there, and we got to learn about the history of Guinness and sort of where it started, who started it, Arthur Guinness. And so that was really interesting, and it's really funny the similarities between the Guinness factory and the Guinness family in Dublin and the Cadbury family in Birmingham, and how they have similarities in the way they looked after their workers, and their sort of work ethics were sort of similar, or it seemed that way anyway.
She used to live in a house that supposedly said that Arthur Guinness's sisters lived in the house because it was the only house on the island where they couldn't hear or see the sea. And they've got a little river or like a stream at the bottom of the garden. And so when it rains, it troughs up, and they say that's supposedly the inspiration where the head of the Guinness came from.
Okay.
Supposedly, it could be a local legend. That's probably what I'm guessing.
It probably is a local legend, but I don't really know, to be honest, about that. I mean, we can trace Arthur back and his family to Kildare and then to Dublin, but we wouldn't really know a huge amount about his immediate family members or his mum and dad's family as much. But in terms of the spots in the head, that's a really nice anecdote, and I don't really want to say that that's not it, so we can leave it at that, definitely.
We then met Zelda, who took us around the Guinness factory, and she also helped us to do our perfect Guinness pour.
Okay, so whichever feels lucky for you, that's fine.
That sounds 45 degrees.
45 degrees, yeah. Tap that all the way, Beautiful. Have you done this before?
Never done it before.
Well done. That's it. That's it. That's right, yep, that's brilliant. Well done. Very good.
Not too bad.
Excellent. Looks good. Oh, this is the bit I love now, the serve.
So Zelda was fantastic, took us all around and explained everything to us. Like, well, she asked us at the end, do we have any questions? We literally didn't. She told us everything we needed to know. It was great. I think we've made sort of a friend for life in a way, both with Lisa and Zelda. I think that if we was to ever come back to Dublin, it'd be great to sort of see him again, pop down there and to see him and whatnot. I think that's what it's about, sort of, not necessarily about making friends as such, but these are the people that we've come to see, these types of people. It's just brilliant. So from there we went to Kilmainham Jail, which sort of is very prominent in Irish history because it's where they did a lot of public executions and that sort of thing. It's also where they held the the prisoners from the Easter Rising.
So here in Phoenix Park in Dublin city centre, it's a huge park with wild deer and just, you know, like a huge amount of wildlife running around.
And the park is sort of used by everyone really. You've got sort of joggers, walkers, people getting to work. There's a huge road through the middle, which which does lead you right into the middle of Dublin. But the amazing thing is, even though it's foggy, Phoenix Park sort of has a grandness about it. It's huge. It's sort of parkland as far as the eye can see. Now we bumped into a bloke who sort of started telling us about the history of the Nelson Memorial and that sort of thing. And he was actually from England, and he now lives over here with his wife who's Irish, and it was pretty cool to bump into him, and we sort of explained our story to him. So from Phoenix Park we made our way to the Arbor Hill Memorial, which was sort of quite difficult to find really, and in quite an odd position, in sort of the grounds of a prison really, which I guess kind of makes sense, but it's just a bit of a strange place for a memorial, I think.
We're setting off on the second leg of our journey. 150 kilometres down to Money in Carlo from Dublin. It's going to take us about 2 to 3 hours, but it should be good. Finally we've got to see some deers. This is fantastic. There's a whole group of deers there. Bloody hell. Wow, this mountainscape is just fantastic. Absolutely amazing. We have to pull over somewhere and just take a look, take in the views. Oh, this is great. Right, so the weather's getting pretty bad right now. Visibility's gone down to sort of, what, maybe 10 metres or something like that. This is just so dangerous it's going to be. So we're going to have to keep our wits about us now. You're right now, Dale. Yeah, you had a bit of a close call then. One of those things, isn't it? Wow, so Dale came off then. That was pretty mad, to be honest. I don't think he quite knew what was around the corner, so. some flowers.
Oh, this is the English child. Oh, motorbike. My Jesus Christ, come in.
I'll grab my helmet.
Well, there is. No wonder you're not travelling in that bad weather.
Ah, it wasn't too bad.
I'm not long into the town.
Ah,
You didn't have to bring flowers to me, though.
it's alright.
You don't mind sitting down right on that. I'd say you today, I'm not for this minute with this. I don't want to take someone else to do this. Put the fucking door in with you. Huh? It's my case anyway, I get someone to do it. You guys brought down the tractor, I think. You put in the door. There's the chap that blame and he's in that car there. Well, don't give him a kiss. I wouldn't kiss him if he was. No, God.
Went into a ditch when it collided with another farmer's car down in the village of Bahola at around 11:30 last night.
With a wound. Well, I wash myself. That's the water. Now you can put it into the shower. You can get a shower and then get the towels for you.
Okay. Is that alright? Yeah?
It's lovely. Thank you very much.
You can try and use it. This is the town of Bunkloader. We've definitely been here before, and I can tell you that. So we stopped here at the Ballysagartmore Towers, which are supposed to be these beautiful towers just in County Waterford, just outside of Cork. They were built by a rich landowner as a way to please his wife, and he wanted to make them so grand that by the end they actually completely ran out of money, so this is all they managed to build, and it's stood here ever since. This is just such a nice gem to find, right in the middle of the Waterford countryside. Just sort of off a main road, there's a small sort of car park, which leads you to sort of a nature trail, and you walk up and you find this. It's pretty amazing. And this was built in the 1830s by like an English gentleman type thing. And basically they ran out of money halfway through, which you can sort of understand why. So there was meant to be a big castle up here, but they ran out of money to build it. This is fantastic, it's a lovely thing to come and see. just had to pull over here because basically there's nothing but no real lives out here. There's a few horses and that is about it. And look, it's just beautiful. And that's, I think, is where we're sort of headed, just up here.
What if we left if that's all we've got? Apart from each other, this town's a part of us. My head on your lap, my heart is in your hands, but you took it in vain. You gave me straight to the city, and just as we dissolve, take one, get to the hillside. Now we've become the roads.
Looks like we've had a minor sort of disaster while driving down these hilly roads. As I was driving, sort of noticed bits of plastic flying off, and it seems to be all from here. It's all broken up from underneath this back box. How frightfully odd. Can't see this staying on much longer, to be fair. I think that's about it. So we're standing in the V, here in County Tipperary. And we're standing right in front of the statue of Our Lady of Knock. You can often see these statues sort of littered all around Ireland, really. And just around here is a donations box. So to help us with our travels, I'm going to make a quick donation. So there it goes. So wish us luck.
What if we left if that's all we've got? Apart from each other, this town's a part of us. I remember when round by your house you said if you run, will you run with me? But if we stay, must stay positive by the gloom of the city. It isn't too bad, is it? It isn't too bad, is it really? It isn't too bad, is it? This town is our home.
So the weather's not changed one bit. Still raining, wet, cold outside, as it has been for most of the days while we're here. We're then going to travel down to the Blarney Castle. Hopefully it's still open and we'll be able to go and kiss the Blarney Stone, even if it is going to be soaking wet. That should be fun. We're still going to head out to Mitchellstown, which we drove through on the way in. But importantly for us, it was where the O'Keefe family originated from, and where Dad was born and where his family lived. So we're going to go there, have a look around. So here at the Blarney Castle, we're going to hope to be able to kiss the Blarney Stone. The castle's just up there, and legend has it that kissing the Blarney Stone gives you good luck. So
just been inside the Blarney Castle, and we both gone and kissed the Blarney Stone. And I have to say, I'm feeling kind of lucky. You know, it's made me feel a bit better. So it's raining and it's sort of cold, damp and wet, but you know, kissing the Blarney Stones made me feel a bit better, and it's made me sort of feel a bit happier.
This is how good our sat-nav is. Takes us off good roads and puts us onto roads. These nothing but potholes. We're having to travel like 10 miles an hour down these roads.
So here at Mitchellstown, in County Cork, where the O'Keeffes and our dad came from, where we hailed from. We're sort of coming around looking for things to do with our heritage and our past here in Mitchellstown. It's a really nice city, a really nice little town.
So we've just visited the house where our dad was born 50 years ago, or 49 we should say. We met a lovely lady inside whose maiden name is O'Keefe. Not sure if it's a direct relation or just coincidence, but this is the house anyway.
Yeah, we converted above the garage, put in 3 bedrooms and another one there, and I got all my space for my old cars. That's Irish built. That's my very first ever mechanised transport. I bought that as a student 25 years ago, my old Honda 50. Still going. Oh, there you go. So now guys, I hope everything was okay for you.
Yeah, it's fantastic, yeah.
Good stuff, good stuff.
Enjoyed ourselves, innit?
Yeah, well, you got to see a bit of the countryside. I mean, the weather, it seems to be every second day, isn't it?
Yeah.
And today seems dry again now, you know.
So hopefully it'll be a good drive up to Galway and not too... I mean, it's going to be quite long. I think it's going to be at 4 hours, 3.5 hours.
Yeah,
And
I mean, if you were just going directly by car, you'd do it in just over 2, but when you're going slow on the bike, you won't. You know?
Yeah.
So we've just got into Galway and grabbed ourselves some dinner, which is some ready-made mash and some bread and cheese, and we both have some Irish stout for dinner, which should be nice. So the drive from Cork to Galway took us about 4 hours in total. It's about 125 miles, 130. We took a bit of a scenic route around through Clare and then up through Limerick, which sort of takes you onto the coast of Ireland right by the Atlantic Ocean. And there's some fantastic roads that we got to go down, some long sort of steep winding roads. The sort of things you'd see in a bit of a James Bond movie. So basically it's time to get to sleep so we can get up early tomorrow and go to the airport for 9 o'clock. And then we can set off and experience some Tedfest.
like that, but when it goes in the ground, so a cowling will somehow just fasten it on the edge here.
How are you? We just landed. We'll be over to you in a few minutes.
On my left there is St. Enda's Cemetery. St. Enda's Cemetery is about 1600 years old. It has 4 layers of headstone.
My bride, alright.
The first layer is sea level, and the sand came in and covered that and so on. 1600 years old.
So we've come to Tedfest 2011 on Inishmore, an island just off of the coast of Galway. Tedfest is meant to be the sort of the highlight of the year, the most happening thing. We've been dropped off at the campsite where we're going to be roughing it for tonight, and as you can see, it's absolutely packed. So we put together our tent now. This will be our home for tonight. I'm not sure it's going to be here the entire night. I'm going to have to walk around now, see where Tedfest is, when it's going to start, what's going to happen. Apparently the bloke that dropped us off said it starts tomorrow, but that's not what I thought, so. We were told that these walls here are built like this to allow the wind to sort of blow through so that they don't blow down. And if you can see, they've all got holes in, and you'd think that'd make a very sort of weak wall, but because the air isn't pushing against it, it makes it strong enough to stay up. It's just an interesting way of doing things. They sort of do it all over the country, but especially here it makes sense. It's sort of windy on the coast, and that's exactly where you need it to be. We're in the Joe Watty pub, which is where all of the Tedfest events are happening. It's going to start tonight at 9 o'clock. We're having a nice Guinness. Before it starts, we're going to walk around Connar first, aren't we? So we've just been to Joe Watty's for the opening night of Tedfest, and walking back to the campsite now, and literally we have a torch and the edge of the road to find our way. It's absolutely pitch black here. So we've just come back from the opening night of Ted Fest, and as you can see we are inside our tent right now.
Or hurricane simulator.
Yeah, the wind has picked up and it's starting to rain, which is kind of lucky, the fact that we just got back. Yeah, so Ted Fest has officially started, I guess. Most of the things are going on tomorrow, which we'll get to catch a bit of before we have to leave, which should be interesting. Sort of looking forward to seeing what happens tomorrow. So even though we're in the middle of a field, in the middle of Inishmore, we are still transferring and backing up all the files from the footage and the photos today. It's not long just gone 4 o'clock in the morning, and after about 6 hours worth of rain it's finally stopped raining, but looks like the tent has sort of took most of that impact and the whole place is soaked. So it's the morning after the night before, where we basically got soaked sleeping in a tent. It ended up full of water, so the sleeping bags were pretty much useless. It was raining and windy all night, so a pretty horrible sleep. And as you could see, I decided to go and stand in the toilet for a bit because that was better than being wet. Today is I think sort of the first proper day of the Ted Fest event, so we're going to go get registered, get our exclusive passes, and hopefully see some cool stuff before we got to get on our flight at 3:15 today.
Well, tell me ma, when I go home, the boys won't leave the girls alone. They pull my hair and throw my comb, but that's alright till I go home. He is handsome, she is pretty, she is the belle of Belfast City. He is a god, 1, 2, 3, please would you tell me who is she? Well, Albert Mooney says he loves her, all the boys are fighting for her. But a daughter ring at the bell, oh, will she come out, who can tell? Out she goes as white as snow, rings on a finger, bells on a toe. Now Johnny Morrissey says she'll die if she doesn't get the fella with the robe and the... Well, it's a keep now when I go home, the boys won't leave the girls alone. My hair is no my comb, but that's alright till I go home. He is handsome, she is pretty, she is the belle of Belfast City. He is a dog, 1, 2, 3, please would you tell me who is she? That wind and the rain and the hail blow high, let the sunlight shine out through the sky. She's as sweet as an apple pie, she gets her own land boy and boy. When she gets a land of her own, she won't tell them how when she goes home. Let them come as they will, it's Albert Mooney, she goes still well. Me ma, when I go home, no I won't leave the girls alone. My hair is no my comb, but that's alright till I go home. He is handsome, she is pretty, she is the belle of Belfast. He is a god, 1, 2, 3, please would you tell me who is she? Well, it's me ma, when I go home, the boys won't leave girls alone. My hair is no my comb, but that's alright till I go home. He is handsome, she is pretty, she is the belle of Belfast. He is a god, 1, 2, 3, please would you tell me who is she? Well, it's me ma, when I go home, the boys won't leave the girls alone. My hair is no my comb, but that's alright till I go home. She is handsome, she is pretty, she is the belle of Belfast. He's a god, 1, 2, 3, please you tell me who is she?
So that was 2 successful flights to Inishmore and then back to Connar, courtesy of Air Aaron. Fantastic, beautiful planes, beautiful weathers, beautiful flight. Seems like we've got more stuff each time we have to pack it up. So this is us leaving Achill now. Little Achill Island. It's been really nice to come up to Achill and just sort of not really do anything, and just taking the scenery. It's fantastic to open up your curtains at night time and just sort of see nothing but mountains and stars, and it's fantastic. And I think it's sort of made us feel all that better, because since day one it's done nothing but rain and it's been cold and horrible, which put a downer on the whole trip really. Places like this are just absolutely fantastic when you get to go for a ride, a nice clear day, and you can see for miles around. Just amazing. So we've got a slight problem. The bike started to lose power, and from what I've noticed, that looks like an oil leak, and that is all wet. So I've had to pull over because basically it was losing power. I'm waiting for Dale to come back now. Hopefully he should have noticed that I'm not behind him and he'll come back. I ain't got a clue what to do. Shit. It's not what you want on a 200km drive, is it? Crap. So Dale's arrived, and he's going to go off and find me some more 4-stroke engine oil, and that should hopefully cure the problem. And if not, just have to keep topping it up. We have done, yeah, sort of 1,400, 1,500 kilometres so far, so that probably doesn't help having you doing that many miles to the engine oil. So we'll see when Dale gets back. So I managed to get a bit of oil and fill up the bike with the oil. We had to use 4-stroke lawnmower oil because there was nothing else. It's a Sunday, so pretty much everything's closed, and hopefully that will get us to where we need to be. It still feels a bit sluggish at the moment, but we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it'll get us there. Since leaving Achill, we've travelled just over halfway. We've been travelling for 6 hours. It should only take us 7 hours to do this journey, but because of Connor's bike, which is now almost totally broken down, we've been travelling at snail's pace, and now we're trying to see whether Connor's got breakdown cover, whether something else can happen, whether we can finish the journey, or whether we're going to end up in a B&B tonight, and we'll have to see what happens tomorrow. So I've just spoken to the breakdown cover people, and I'm not covered as it happens in Ireland, in the Republic of Ireland. In Northern Ireland I'm fine, but the Republic of Ireland I'm not, as it counts as Europe, which is a little bit annoying. It's the sort of, it's really late, so like I think we're just going to have to keep on going, to be honest. So it's around 12 o'clock and we're just coming up on Pilltown now. We've been driving for, well, it seems like forever. It's about 12 hours of driving. We're about to make it to our next place. I think it's just time to go to bed and wake up fresh in the morning. 12 hours of driving in one day is ridiculous. Oh. So we spent the night at Marie and Tony's house, who are a cousin of our uncle, and we've met them sort of only once before, I think, at our auntie and uncle's wedding last year. We didn't arrive till midnight, and
And when we got here, they were lovely enough to heat up a dinner for us, which they made. Lovely lamb dinner. It was absolutely fantastic. And there was, we were, you know, just looked after us really well. Got a cup of tea to warm us up. Sat by the fire. And basically went straight to bed and slept for sort of 9-10 hours, something like that.
So the sound of a non-starting motorbike isn't a very good one. Mine's not been leaking oil since yesterday, so I don't know what actually it has. It's only leaked a bit, tiny bit. Let's give it a try. See if it starts. We're currently driving to Waterford because we've been told by a local car mechanic that there might be a bike mechanic in Waterford. So we're literally preying on the fact that this person is still open, up for business. They're open today, hopefully, and hopefully he's not busy and he'll be able to look at the bike. So we're in Waterford waiting for my bike to get fixed. We've got about an hour to wait, so hopefully it'll get fixed by 4. If not, it's going to be a long trip down to the ferry tomorrow. Fingers crossed that it gets fixed. He doesn't have the parts to fix it, so he's done his best to try and get it running a bit better. It seems to be running better, but it's not even anywhere near 100% what it should be. We're just gonna have to, that's the best we can do. Making our way back down to, well, across to Wexford for the night, and then tomorrow morning we'll be heading for the ferry, and hopefully we can get to the ferry on time with no other hiccups, hopefully. So that's it, we've officially landed in Fishguard, we're in Wales, and we've left Ireland. We had a bit of trouble getting to the ferry because one of the bikes decided not to start and had a flat battery, so luckily John the neighbour was at hand to borrow some jump leads. So it was pretty stressful, and we were panicking thinking that we'd not be able to make the ferry. So we were able to get on the ferry, but in the nick of time, and now we're just, you know, just trying to get home, basically get home as fast as we can. We've got to go up from Fishguard to Aberystwyth, and then it's pretty much a straight run across to Birmingham from there. Oh Christ, so we're already coming on around 8 hours of travelling.
What do you think about our trip going to Ireland and sort of going to visit the place where we identify ourselves with, or class ourselves as Irish, and Ireland as our sort of home, I suppose?
I think it's really, really good that you've done that, because there's a lot of things I don't know about my family and my mum's side and some of my dad's side. Some of it I won't know now because people have died, and they're no longer sort of around to sort of answer those questions. To sort of go and do your road trip that you've done, that's something you can tell your children when you're older. This is what I've done. At least instead of just saying what, you know, that you're saying that your Irish connection is important, you've actually gone out and done something about it, and you know, you've managed to get sponsorships, and you've managed to sort of get, you know, help along the way and that type of thing. Then, you know, that's brilliant that you managed to do that and do the road trip and sort of look at your roots and explore and grow up.
Yeah, that's all we need.
Is that all you need?
Yeah.
Is that any good?